Hello everyone, Encore here, back with another video of Immortality. In this one, we'll be attempting the Alaric campaign on the hardest difficulty, trying to get no deaths. Before we begin though, there's something I should do. Scroll down a little and there we go. Bring out the inner goth. Now that we're ready, we can dive in. Mission 1 begins just like almost any other first mission, with no real challenge posed and not one ally, but a second as well. It's a 3v2, which would be easy enough to win, but with Stalacco on our side, victory is guaranteed. We start with a little town in the castle age and cannot advance to Imp, meaning no perfusion this time around. But wait, what is this? As the enemy throws units against our allies' walls, we collect the second of the 2 relics on the map, granting us our Imperial Age unique tech. These AIs won't know what's about to hit them. We don't need to eliminate the Franks, just the Western Roman Empire, but it's convenient to. So we'll drop a forward castle on them close enough to range their town center. After doubting the AI's response castle, we go for their only TC. Once it goes down, Cyan will automatically resign, turning the odds ever more in our favor. We then sling our allies a large sum of resources, since they can construct non-immortal units. Next, we drop 2 castles behind Blue, forcing him to the front of his base right into our allies' waiting armies. Did I say armies? I meant arms. Yeah, they're strong sword arm. Wait a second. I meant maybe I'll stop now. After using rams and our high pierce armor tanks, the Huskarl, we're able to take down Blue's castle, forcing him to resign. An extremely easy start for Mission 1 with no deaths. Sadly, while Mission 1 was a breeze, Mission 2 will be a Class 4 hurricane. We are never given villagers in this scenario, meaning we'll have to survive off our allies' tributes. Thing is, we don't have allies yet. We have to destroy their armies, wipe out the defenses, and sack their town center, just to get a few production buildings and some tribute, all with no deaths. Oh, did I mention this must be repeated 4 times? And that there are 2 other players who live strictly for the purpose of hunting us down? Sounds like child play to an immortal such as myself. There is a large group of cataphracts ahead who would cost us many lives. Thankfully, so long as our Skarls are quiet and stick to the side of the cliff, they won't even notice us. Once past them, we continue on our way to raise Sparta. We'll need to deal with them eventually, though, to get the conscription tech from the ruins to the north. As we lay siege to Sparta's walls, we pull back any unit that gets below 30% HP. Thankfully, another 2 will always fill his place. After dealing with some pesky knights and puny spearmen, we march up to the town center and burn it to the ground. Sparta was easy to capture, but each city will continue to get progressively worse. We now have 2 immediate problems. First, being our wounded units. How can we treat them? We have no monastery. It seems by having a nap in Red's towers, our broken arms and such will be mended. Alright, sounds good to me, but I dibs the top bunk. We use the towers and town centers of Sparta to slowly regenerate our units' health. Second problem is the impending attacks from either one of the purple players. We quickly create an expo mass, as it may be our only hope versus the hordes of cataphracts and pikes. We then garrison them within Red's TC, providing them with safety they need to fire upon Purple's troops. With some reassuring cries of "Run, Forest, run," everybody makes it in. After a few minutes, we ungarrison our now replenished units and march on to Argos. This city will be a problem, as against their scorpion/skirms we might have to use the only unit that cannot be healed, our knights. We tried getting one of the horses into a tower, but it was just way too cramped. We then return to our starting base, where we have trained a small special forces group to deal with the assaults you see on screen. Once that's been dealt with, we break through the first of Argos Gate and begin on to the second. While our units stand their ground at home against Purple's forces, others burn Yellow's TC and rush toward the liquor stores. I meant to say the weapons stores. Not that those 2 should ever be combined. We then deal with a small starting force of cataphracts and move onwards into the ruins where we receive conscription. Returning to Argos, we have a close call with one of Corinth's mangonels, but eventually deal with the garrison and sack the town center. What we have done is successfully achieve 2 things. 1, we've gained a monastery, providing us with the very useful tech herbal medicine. 2, we have cut the Roman forces in 2, separating them apart. And an enemy divided is far easier to subdue. We now turn our eyes west, to a Byzantine-occupied mine, soon to be liberated. Once the garrison has been neutralized, we send in a small group of rams from our new siege workshop. After this, we must secure our rear, and to do so, we will be forced to face a castle. We've studied for this moment and practiced how to defeat a castle. First, we fill a siege tower with skulls and lure the current garrison away. Thanks, Hera. We then hide the siege tower in the bushes and cut down the legionnaires with our expo mass that has been doubled since our forces reunited at Corinth. After they are dead, the rams go in to knock the castle down, ending Purple's stream of cataphracts and rams from our rear. Now we move forward, on to Athens. After our army has been healed, we arrive at Athens, begin to fire upon the gate, causing a swarm of light cav and long swordsmen to rush out. We cut these down, then take out the gate from a distance, out of the range of the towers on the walls. After 4,800 rounds hit the stones, they crumble, allowing our siege to dash past the castle, onwards towards the TC. Unfortunately for us, the scenario designers are getting cleverer, and they place these trees here, preventing us from hopping onto the other side with our Huskarls. We were forced to do it the old-fashioned way and bring up rams to knock the gate down. Nonetheless, we get in eventually and destroy the Athens town center. This has been a huge, if not our greatest feat yet, as we've secured a castle, which will allow us to construct petards and deal with the large armies still sallying out from the Byzantine fortress in the northwest. One more small cleanup at the top of the map, and we head out to besiege the Eastern Roman Empire. By bringing mangonels up here by the cliffs, we are able to destroy the Romans' one and only monastery, which they will not rebuild, ridding them of their only ranged unit. Now that they have no ranged units, we position our units like so, and begin to mow down pikes and cavalry alike. After a short while, the unit production stops for a bit, so we make our play. By using a ram to distract the castle, we can run our petards in. They begin to perform their magic non-death counting explosions when I realize an error in the plan. For some unknown reason, while doing the calculations, I thought the Byzantines had hoarding, meaning I brought too many petards. I see this now as the survivors stand in the rubble of the castle. There's only one option. They run towards the closest pikeman they see to give him a nice fiery hug. I'm sure their love will be explosive. After a small stress-relieving experience, which couldn't be all the burnt Byzantine buildings you see in the background, we salute them and fire upon the town center. We are deemed victorious. But at what cost? No deaths, thankfully, but 6 hours plus of gameplay, not counting pauses and saves, comes with a toll. Most likely my sleep schedule. Thankfully, we get a break after this challenging mission with a nice, easy one. A simple 2 versus 2 with a Goth ally in the Imperial Age. Easy as pie. After a small push on Aquila, our ally is able to boom up and swarm what remains of the city. As our brother Atualf and his champions hunt the last of Blue's villagers, they call the GG, leaving only Cremona to deal with. So you'd think, at least. You see, after Yellow has been eliminated, part of Ravenna will split off to become Sars, including these transports. At the moment, the landing area is partially blocked. We'll need to do something about it in the future. Back to current events, though. With a small castle drop on Yellow, we can tear the defenses from afar with our trebs and then allow Cyan to finish the job. Once Yellow has been defeated, a scout is summoned in, as you can see, and starts by immediately charging forward into this narrow, cliffy passageway. We quickly save him from the ambush that would be by pulling him back. Our objectives are clear. Meet with the Emperor in Ravenna, so that's where we'll go. By the sea, not land, though. Red is neutral with us, but his galleons will still fight back, so we sink them with a group of demos. And those transports of yours. I mean, it's a peace meeting, so we'll be happy to take the big, bad units off your hands. Boom. After landing on a smaller island, we can unload our trebuchets and destroy Ravenna's towers from range, then land in the city itself. While we must be wary of towers and other fortifications, the units are perfectly unthreatening. They are all currently on no attack stance. Eventually, we'll move deep enough into the city to activate the trigger with Saurus, also causing Ravenna to turn us to enemy and attack us with units, but not before we kill the Emperor in a state of fury, then retreat home on our transports. The ambush does end up occurring, but none of our units are harmed. Oh, how cruelly Atualf treats his units, throwing them away to die. A small cleanup of purple from Cyan, and we are deemed victorious once again without a single casualty. Now for Mission 4, the Giant Falls. We start with a small army and a few villagers, Phew. Outside the walls of the one player who's had all that time to boom. It's basically playing City Simulator at this point, and by that I mean Rome. We are to destroy the Goliath of a settlement, and its 14 castles. Thankfully, we have 2 Imperial Gothic allies on our side. All we have to do is get to them and tell them to attack. It's easier said than done, but eventually we're able to contact both to launch their assaults. I then set up a trade route and a stable economy once the walls have been seized. Since the Romans never actually leave Rome, I can go AFK for a while, occasionally coming back to sling my allies gold. I finally return to play with only a single enemy castle remaining, a small trebuchet barrage, and it is easily dealt with. Another game won with no deaths. But the real question is, what did Alaric and his brother Atualf find in the ruins of Rome? An Alaric roll? Sorry about that, I just couldn't resist. Now we head on to Mission 5, a kingdom of our own. We have 2 options in this 4v1. First, we boom up on our starting island, and while with demos that put Tatos to shame, we eventually run out of resources. During this time, the AI thrives on trade. This is why we must go with the second. We head on over to visit our good friend Saurus immediately, but after we set up our quarters, an argument breaks out, resulting in his untimely death. Without a leader, the purple Goths sway to our side, leaving me solely with the power of barrack spam. After fortifying our base, we take a look at the objectives. We must build a castle in each one of the enemy cities, but who do we strike at first? Toloso in Cyan lies to the west and plays at the Franks. With 2 relics and a ridiculous amount of gold, they'll spam paladins for ages, but shouldn't be targeted first, as they're too strong. Narbo is in the south, and will construct mainly missile units. In other words, they're a joke when against our Huskarls. That leaves one last option, Yellow to the north, who will build infantry and siege, but takes a while to boom up. Since we plan on fortifying our position, siege might be our problem. We can't attack the strongest player, Cyan, with at least one of the others off our back, and red is a joke, so now we go for yellow. After building a castle near Yellow's gate, we begin a rain of projectiles on the settlement using our trebs. Key is to kill off all of the villagers and TCs, making Yellow's military production come to a grinding halt. Thankfully, Yellow keeps all of their villagers in the northern quarter of the city, which only has 1 exit. Once it has been blocked, we go on the hunt with the Skarls, killing villagers by the many. Cyan would be very difficult to overcome in a frontal assault, but so long as we honor to cut behind them, we can rid them of their relics and gold miners. Then, wait until the hordes of paladins deplete, and finally begin slowly moving forward with trebuchets. We first take down the undefended gate with the Skarls, then bring in the Trebs to deal with his few stables, which will not be rebuilt. After a small castle drop on red, we realize we can finally research spies. After purchasing it, we see just in time the Rams headed for our newly built castle. We quickly build a few Huskarls and deal with them easily, while arrows prod into the Huskarls' chests. Don't worry, they'll pull them out as soon as they're in the castle. Then comes the grand finale, where we build all 3 of our castles. Once one goes up, the 5th and final player, the Western Roman Empire, will sally out and try and deal with us. But so long as we construct all 3 at the same time, we're fine. We also have a small group of castles in front of their mountain fortress to slow them down. With those fortifications in place, construction begins and finishes quickly. Blue gives some idle threats that I'm fairly sure he won't be able to follow through with, as if you look in the top of the screen, he just resigned. After a small moment, we are dubbed victorious, and if we look at statistics, with no losses. I mean, I'm not sure what my Discord server, which you can join in the description below, was even talking about. This campaign was perfectly fine. If I just pull an arrow out from here and another one from there. And let me know what campaign you'd like to see next in the comments below. I do have a good idea though, as you can see on screen. Thank you very much for watching. Encore Performance out.